You're listening live to Heart, a program which aims to help you understand and to become your loving self at KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio Live. I'm Dr. Mitra Rashidian. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified sexologist in full-time private practice located in beautiful Encino, California. And I'm here along with Dr. Robert Jaffe, who's also my colleague, my very good friend for many, many years and business partner. And we both offering you this program. And we would like to invite you to please join us, participate, tell us what you think, because without your participation, our direction kind of becomes unclear, right? Because we don't know how we are impacting, you by the information we're providing you. So it would be such a, honor to have you in our show, and we also feel, grateful for you spending your hour with us at this time. Dr. Jaffe, welcome.
Thank you. And welcome again to all of our listeners and viewers. We appreciate your patronage, and we, like Dr. Rashidian just said, we hope that you will reach out and give us some of your thoughts and questions, stories. We would very much appreciate it. We're here to help make your day better and hopefully your life as well. We've accumulated a lot of knowledge and wisdom over many, many years of study and practice on what it means to be your loving, authentic, true selves. And that's what we hope everybody will become. Our loving, authentic, true self is the self that was born into the world prior to a lot of the negative thinking and negative behaviors that we were exposed to. And that part of us is always there. It's always with us, but it becomes clouded sometimes with all the do's and don'ts, cultural do's and don'ts, family rules that we have absorbed that we don't really believe in, but we do because that was what it was expected of us. So recognizing what those are gives you a leg up on being able to modify, change, eliminate them, and to connect with who you really are and what you really think and feel. So again, welcome, and we are here today to serve you.
Exactly. And there's a lot going on in the world.
There's a lot.
There's a lot going on, and you don't think that in the turn of 21st century we still face a situation where killing each other
is
in
a
the
solution.
name of war is a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we get caught into the idea that, okay, human beings are way too advanced to think like that anymore. It's not like 5th century. It's not like 15th century. It's not like 10th century. It's not like the time where people grab a sword and, a shield and start, attacking each other. We think that we are in an era that communication is our ultimate form of, resolving our differences or making requests or come to some agreements, negotiation. I mean, for the love of God, we are too advanced. I think we are too advanced to, attack each other the way it's happening, the other side of the world, I should say.
Yeah, I really...
And killing people?
Yeah, I know.
In the name of what we want?
I would love to agree with you. I would love for that to be true, that we're too advanced.
Maybe we are advanced in terms of technology.
We're very advanced in terms of our left brain development. Right. The left brain is about building things. We can now build rocket ships that go to other planets. We can communicate with these little devices that take us all the way around the world. We've been able to put a man on the moon for many years already, and and build space stations and spaceships. We are very, very advanced technologically.
We are also the ones who made atomic bomb.
Yeah, we've also and so I think that's the left brain, which is the thinking, logical, reasoning brain. In that way, we are very advanced. The right brain, unfortunately, not so much. The right brain is creative, and we do have access to it. We are very creative, but we're creative not only in a way that benefits us, but also in a way that hurts us. And the right brain is also in charge of our emotional development, and that's where we haven't progressed so much. What's gone on in our own country is an indication of that, because just about half the country thinks the other half are either idiots or morons or evil, and both halves, are fighting each other as though they're enemies, rather than just people who are trying to do the best they can and have different ideas about what works. And so we are, we're not having a civil war, but we've come pretty close to it with what happened last January. And so I think, in terms of our development, unfortunately, our emotional development has not kept pace with our intellectual development. And that's why you and I are doing what we're doing, is to try and aid people in their emotional development so that they can be more loving and more caring towards themselves and towards the people in their lives and towards the other people in the world, whom are just, after all, people just like us.
Exactly. Well, let's invite our listeners to share their perspective with us. Our live phone number is 951-922-3532. And we would like to know your opinion about, what's going on across the world with the current situation, Ukraine, the bombing. I heard on the news and something that was truly heartbreaking, that one of the bombs actually attacked Children's Hospital. And I saw some videos of how some of the children who were in intensive care, they were taken to a safer place. And the staff at the hospital did their very best to move with them the equipment and the supplies that children needed in order to survive. Looking at those images and the videos, I cannot describe the sadness that I felt, and also at the same time, the anger that I felt, the disappointment that came with it, the helplessness and the hopelessness that I felt. And the big question in my mind was, why? Why would you bomb Children's Hospital? I mean, okay, of all the places that they are there to bomb, if you have to bomb, okay, I get it. Okay, fine. It's war. War is about ego. War is about what you want, that you can get it in a civilized manner. So you go by force. Not that I agree with it, but that's the philosophy, I guess, but why Children's Hospital?
Well, we don't know.
Why people's residential?
Yeah, I don't know what the circumstances were, and certainly
no circumstances to me justifies that.
No, I'm saying I don't know what the circumstances were in terms of whether it was a misfire or
it wasn't misfire. They were calculated.
Well, how do you know?
That's what they said, that they know where they're targeting.
Well, I don't know, but even if that's so, I have to say that war is legalized insanity. So when you say I get it, that there's a war, I don't get it.
I don't get the war to begin with.
No. So to me, it's part and parcel of the insanity.
Yeah, it is
insanity. Because it's either greed and or fear and or lust for power.
Right.
Whatever it is, it's legalized insanity, and those are fellow human beings who are doing that.
Right.
Which means that as a species, we all have that propensity inside of us still, and that's why I say, in terms of our emotional development, we have not progressed that far. We really have not, uh, and it goes on in smaller cases throughout the world. I mean, there's murders every day. There's violence upon other people every day. There's rapes. There's molestation. There's all sorts of things going on in every country. Ours is no exception. And so war is simply an extension of that. And to me, it's legalized insanity. So that means that there's a part of us that is insane.
Yes.
As human beings.
Right.
And the only thing that's going to make it better is education in terms of emotional development. That's the only thing that's going to make it better, is when we can begin to teach people about their emotions, how their emotions work, and have them get a better sense of how they, because what I say is the subconscious runs the show. Mm-hmm. And that's what you say too, but right. Most people have no idea that they even have a subconscious, let alone that their subconscious runs them. I'd say the vast majority of people in the world think that everything is conscious. And you and I know differently.
Yes, absolutely.
But what goes on subconsciously is, if that's what runs us, and we know now that it is, and we're not privy to it, then we're working against forces that are working on us that we don't have any access to. And that, to me, is the only thing that's going to save us, is when we begin to understand that and educate ourselves and educate our children in that way. We're great at educating people with the left brain, but we fail miserably in educating people about emotions, emotionality, and how the human being and how the human body and brain are organized. We don't know how to do that.
Yeah, we don't know how to do that yet. And then, we see that in therapy every day when we talk about, emotions and the left brain, and how feelings and emotions are basically guiding us about what to do, and we think it all comes from our intelligence. Mm-hmm. My clients, they say, oh, I don't want to talk about those sissy stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, depending on the culture that they come from, that sissy stuff's become stronger or less strong, but it still is there. What I, perhaps, is my own thing, that I feel like, people, citizens of any nations who are not part of military, who are not part of government, they have nothing to do with war or what's going on, and they are off limit. Their residents, their home, their children, those are off limit. I mean, they want to, you guys want to, resolve your conflicts, do it somewhere where people are not there, when people are not living, where there is no hospital, where, to me, this is murder. I mean, I can't, this is obvious murder, and getting away with it.
Well, yeah, it's murder, but what I'm saying is murder takes place all the time throughout history. And the fact that we do it in a legal way by calling it war doesn't change the fact that it's still murder.
Well, back then we can't change, but here we are educated people. Or
again, I want to say,
yes, yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we got to go.
Let's talk about this right after commercial break, and please join us, share your opinion with us. Thank you.
We're waiting to hear your call.
Program KMET 1490 AM ABC News Live. For those of you, who are just joining us, we are starting with what's going on in the world right now, across the country and across the ocean, and where people's lives are in such a dramatic danger, and that includes also children. And We would like to invite you to please join us, talk about this, share your opinion. Some of us do have family members there, friends, colleagues. Some of us don't. I myself, I don't know anybody back there in Ukraine, but I know that there are so many people live there. So it doesn't matter whether I know somebody or I don't. The fact that I see people, innocent people, left and right for absolutely no reason, for reasons that they have no clue about, and they have no control over what's going on, they are losing their lives. To me, that is murder. It's nothing short of that, even in the name of war. And war doesn't qualify anyone to attack Children's Hospital, to attack residents. And how have we grown from when there was the second war, or there was the first one, or when in prior centuries people attack each other one by one, or in any way they killed each other so that they can prove a point or to gain something for themselves. I still even looking at it from a mental health perspective, looking at this, I cannot make sense out of it, Dr. Jaffe.
Mm-hmm.
So please call us 951-922-3532.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but actually, I recently read that 93% of the time in recorded history, somewhere in the world, there was a war.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've only been at peace. The world itself has only been at peace 7% of the time, and 93% we've been at war, and that hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. That hasn't changed. So I'd like to talk about what I just mentioned before the break, which is the subconscious. Mm-hmm. Because the again, people don't understand what that is and how it works. And I think we can maybe help a few people by talking about what the subconscious really is and how it works, and why you and I say, and many people who are in our field say, that the subconscious runs the show.
Right.
Right. So our brain is divided into, it depends on how you look at it, but the brain is divided into three actual levels. One we call the conscious mind. One we call the subconscious mind. And then the third level we call the unconscious mind. These are the three levels of mind that every human being has. The unconscious mind carries with it, there's not actually like a delineation, there's not like a line in our brain that stops the conscious from the subconscious communicating, or the subconscious from the unconscious communicating. They all work together. But the deepest part of our mind, the unconscious mind, it stores all of our memories, and in fact, even the memories in utero, we now know that people are able to retrieve, and there's been a lot of evidence to support that. But of course, we can't remember that. Most people can't remember that at the conscious level. And so the subconscious and the unconscious are the two deeper layers of mind. And the subconscious, we can say the subconscious is that part of the mind when you're not thinking about something, but someone says something and then you remember because you've been triggered to remember. Do you remember the time when you and I went to Hawaii and we went and took that hike, and you weren't thinking about that right now, but all of a sudden now I'm talking about it and your mind takes you there? Exactly. That was located in your subconscious mind. Yes. Right? Otherwise you wouldn't recognize it. Mm-hmm. Right? Right. So the subconscious carries with it, the subconscious and the unconscious carry with it all the ways in which our bodies work, all the millions of processes, mm-hmm. the chemical processes that are constantly changing and moving in our body, all the organs of our body, the way they work. Right. We don't have conscious control over that, although we can gain conscious control over a lot of it. Yes. Depending upon how trained the person is. The person can actually slow their heartbeat to the point where if a doctor examines them, they won't hear the heart beating because there's so much time in between one beat and the next that the doctor would actually pronounce the person dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's that, and that person can have that much conscious control over an unconscious process, which is our heart beating. The subconscious carries with it so many different facets of us, but mostly the thing that we're concerned with as psychotherapists is our belief systems. What we believe is carried in our subconscious, often communicated to our conscious, but not always, and our beliefs run us. So if for example, I'll give you an example. So if my father, this is something I'm making up, it didn't really happen, but if my father was somebody who would slap me, and before he would slap me, he would always get this look on his face and grit his teeth and look sternly at me, and then he would slap me across the face. That might be a subconscious or an unconscious imprint that then I took in, and then I forgot about it on a conscious level. And then later on in life, when I see somebody beginning to make that face, I flinch. Or worse yet, I believe that that person is going to slap me and I duck. Or worse yet, I believe that person is going to slap me and I punch him. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the person
automatic response.
Yes. But it's not really automatic, it's subconscious because
response,
I've been triggered to believe to hold that belief subconsciously. And then if the person looks at me and in astonishment and says, "Why did you hit me?" And I said, "I was self-defense. You were about to hit me. I hit you first."
Yes.
See? And I'm telling the truth because from my point of view, it was self-defense. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's an example of how the subconscious works.
Actually, you said that. It's funny because this morning I was listening to the news. I have a habit of early morning. I just want to know, catching up with everything. They show a video that this woman was walking on the street,
right,
on a sidewalk,
right,
and some guy just suddenly approached her and slapped her in the back of her head and walked away. Right? And the woman didn't know this person. This person didn't know the woman, but the way she walked, right, triggered him to come and slap him, behind her head and walked away. And of course, they said that the guy was under the influence of drugs.
Yeah.
I get that. But then again, subconsciously, there was something that made him do that and just slapped her and walked away from her.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that person who did the slapping, there was something going on, even though he was under the influence.
Right.
When we're under the influence, we still are ourselves. And we're still subject to the same beliefs and frailties that we are when we're not under the influence. However, when we're not, we have more control over those impulses. But when we're using drugs or alcohol, we have less control, and that's why people get into such big fights when there's alcohol or drugs involved, is because the feelings that were there anyway, they don't know how to moderate. They don't know how to deal with.
Yes, and then that's why when we are consciously, we are, out of control, our subconscious takes over with all the negative emotions, with all the, all the unwanted or wanted elements that they were under control of a conscious mind. They just feel free to show up.
Right.
That's why, when somebody's under influence, whether drug or alcohol, they say things that they normally don't say it.
Correct.
Their expression is totally different from when they are, when they are sober. And they're telling you what I'm saying is the truth. I'm not making up anything in that kind of mood that they are.
Right.
There's everything they say is the actuality of how they think and how they feel.
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And then once they are sober, they can't remember what they said.
Right. Right. And
Right.
if you tell them, they may say, I would never do that, or I would never say that. You
Yes.
must be incorrect.
And also that happens when people are in high level of rage.
Mm-hmm.
They say things and do things that later on, when the rage is over, or at least it's at a much lower intensity, they say, I never said that. I
Right.
didn't do that. You're making it up, or you're making a mistake, or I meant to say it this, or the receiver of the message is doing misinterpretation,
Mm-hmm.
or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's when we are at a high level of rage, our conscious is not in control anymore.
Yes. Yes. So.
And we say the truth of how we feel.
Well, we say the truth we say a truth. We don't say the truth. We say a truth.
A truth of what we feel about something, about somebody, about a situation.
Yeah, yeah. In one of my favorite books, entitled "The Prophet," by Khalil Gibran, he says, "Say not, I have found the truth. Say instead, I have found a truth." And the reason I'm bringing that up is because there are many truths that are contradictory.
Yes.
Right? So,
Can you give us an example of that?
Well, would you say, are we living right now, or are we dying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Am I male or am I female? Well, I'm male in terms of the way that my body is, but I'm also female because I came from a female, and half of me came from that X gene, right? Half of me came from the Y gene, half of me came from the X gene. I'm both, right? So am I male or am I female? I'm both, but I would say I'm male because primarily my body is male.
Right.
Right.
I remember I had a TV invitation, an interview last Saturday, and I was talking about bisexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And the argument was whether bisexuality is made up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, people choose to be bisexual, or is it something genetic? Right. And I said, but primarily is genetic, and then also people. Sometimes they make choices for themselves, to act as bisexual. Anyway, the conversation got deep, and it was an hour and a half of discussion, right? And thankfully, I got so many questions. People were calling, and they had so many questions, which I was very much happy to see that, my conversation was welcomed, and I really appreciated that. At one point, I said, we all have the element of bisexuality within us, just like you just said it right now, right? We all bisexual, so by nature, but some of us have more progesterone, some of us have more testosterone, and therefore, based on that, we either are, experiencing bisexuality at a higher level or at none at all.
And that's what modern science is now telling us.
Yes.
Is that we are all sexual, and we all have the propensity to be bisexual, and it's simply a matter of degree, not kind.
Not kind.
So whether you're the most feminine woman or the most masculine man, you still came from both a man and a woman.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And so therefore you have both of those inside of you, and what I try to help people understand is that maybe I'm a very masculine man, and maybe I'm 99% male and 1% female, but that's still bisexual.
That's still bisexual,
right?
Exactly.
And maybe I'm not such a masculine man, and maybe I have a lot more femininity, so maybe I'm 51-49.
Yes.
Or maybe I can go either way. And so I can double the chances of having a date on Friday night, because I could date either a man or a woman, and I'm happy with either, and so I'm 50-50.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then going back to our topic of the war, and when we look at these leaders that they call themselves leaders.
Well, they are leaders because and the reason they're leaders is because the people in the country.
Have followers.
Yes, the people in the country follow them.
Yes.
So they proclaim themselves as leaders, and the people follow them.
Well, people trust them, right? We trust in our government, right? Or at least that's the way it should be, right? So, but when we look at the personality of these leaders, right, we see that we can recognize signs and symptoms that how they are such a not fit people to be leaders based on their personalities, based on their lifestyle, based on their ideology, based on their perceptions and beliefs and the treatment of people around them, like their children, like their family.
Well, who are you talking about that can see this? That can see this? Because you said we can see that they're not fit.
But you and I can see that.
Yeah, you and I can see it, but we're trained clinicians.
Right.
But a lot of people can't see it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. So let's talk about this right after our commercial break.
And again, nobody's called in, but please, we still have a few more minutes. Call in, and you don't have to identify yourself, but we'd love to hear from you. We're sitting here and hoping that people will express what's going on, so we can have a good dialogue about it. So give us a call.
951-922-3532. Thank you.
See you soon.
Welcome back from our commercial break. Dr. Mitra and Dr. Robert here at KMET Radio 1490 AM and Heart to Heart program. For those of us who are following us, thank you. And if you're joining us right now, we appreciate that. And we are talking about, war and the subconscious mind. And we have a discussion that we would like for you to join us and share your perspective. Our phone number live here is 951-922-3532. And your perspective is really important to us, and we love to hear your take on what's going on in the other side of the world and the war and everything, where innocent people are being killed left and right for no reason, and they have no clue why this is happening.
Yeah, so you use the word innocent, and so to me, okay, what does that word actually mean? How many innocent people die in a war? How many innocent people died in Vietnam? How many innocent people died in the Korean War? How many innocent people died in the two world wars?
Yes.
How many innocent people died in Vietnam? How many innocent people died, when the crazy guy with the gun, the sniper killed all those people, and who were gathered together, to celebrate.
During Holocaust.
Yeah, well, during the Holocaust. Yeah, I mean, how many? And so, who is innocent? Who is innocent, right? Everybody in terms of being a human being is connected to every other human being, and we are the ones who put these people in power. We are the ones who allowed the creation of these tanks,
right,
and these weapons and these nuclear weapons. We are the ones. So as human beings, we all bear a responsibility in that, even though I personally wasn't the one. But this is my race. This is my race. This is your race. So who is innocent? None of us are really innocent, but the fact that we're not innocent, does that mean that we deserve to be killed?
No, see, I mean, we pay taxes in the name of, receiving a service, so we can have a, decent, quality of life, right? And then it is decided that a portion of these taxes goes for, for weapons, or tanks or military, equipment, right, in the name of protection of the country. But then again, we see that these protective materials, what they are, right, all they do is killing people.
Yes.
And so how do you determine, what do you say? I mean, yes, we are contributing to that, but we can't not pay taxes.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at bringing up taxes, so we spend so much of our budget, our national budget, on the military,
Right.
right? So I don't know how much I spend. When I pay $1 in tax, I don't know how much of that goes to the military. At least a third, maybe more.
Yes.
So how can I then say I am innocent when there's a war and those tanks and those weapons are being used? I've contributed to the payment of that. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
none of us are innocent, but the issue, again, going back to the subconscious, is we have failed in educating people about how to deal with their emotions. And if we educate people as to how to deal with our emotions, we are much better equipped to put leaders in place who we know will act more compassionately and more reasonably than the leaders that we elect, because we will have been educated in that way.
Yes, but here's the situation as to why this level of education is very much limited these days. You and I, at the beginning of the program, talked about we believe that we are advanced people. We are advanced people in terms of left brain, and then the left brain is what has created all these corporations. That corporations mostly primarily focus on how to sell items to people in the name of modernity, in the name of productivity, in the name of better life, better skills, better everything. And then people are consumed by that. People, they want a new car, they want a new TV, they want a new sofa, they want a new this and new everything. Children these days, when they go to school, they have to have all sorts of electronics attached to them so that they can function at the school and everything. So with this being priority of the families to purchase, to maintain, and not having substantial educational resources to teach us everything else that's necessity of life, right? Like emotional difficulties, like how to be more a person rather than a machine.
Emotional difficulties are barely mentioned,
Barely mentioned, exactly.
let alone taught.
Yeah.
And that's where we started the conversation today.
Exactly.
That's what's running the world. Is emotions.
Yes.
And emotions
are running us, right? But then again, what we must be is controlling us.
What do you mean? What we
like
must be?
like we have to have this car, we have to have this laptop, we have to have this TV, we have to have all so many materialistic factors are controlling us, where in fact our emotions are running us. And emotions that's not developed, that's not been educated, that's not been altered, that's not been evaluated.
What, to me, I agree with you. I agree with that. And
Thank you.
and I want to add, to me, the most important part that's missing is the development of empathy.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Empathy is saying, I am not that different than you. Yes, we are all different, but I'm not that different because I'm a human being.
Yes.
You're a human being. You want the same. You want safety. You want love.
You want basic.
You want your basic needs. You want your basic needs.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to enjoy your life. These are things every human being wants, and those are the basic things that make us human.
Yes.
And because we're not taught about our feelings and about how to empathize with other people, which have to do a lot with the subconscious and the things that we are exposed to and taught, at home and in our culture, because we're not taught those things become non-existent, not important, and the substitute are the things that we go, that those things are going to make us happy rather than the connections that we make with other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when we look at the personality of the leaders and how in their personal life, they're treating their own loved ones, one would wonder, why am I expecting for this leader to treat me any better?
Yes. Yeah.
When a leader, doesn't allow, his daughters to show up in public,
Mm-hmm.
and for a person who's active in different, high skill rank of, sports activities and everything, but controls, his own daughters, they cannot be in public, they cannot show up, they cannot dress in a certain way, they cannot be educated in a certain way. How am I supposed to desire or to, wish for that he's going to treat, my daughter or myself differently?
But if I'm raised in the culture where that is the norm, mm-hmm. and to be different is to be wrong, mm-hmm. then I am going to vote for that guy because right. I believe in what he's doing, because right. I'm doing the right. same thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's why I say we don't teach people in school how to understand what's going on, how to understand their emotions, and how to understand what the subconscious is, so that they can deal with the various things that come up in a way that's more compassionate to themselves and to those people around them. We're so judgmental. Judgment is the opposite of understanding and mm-hmm. empathy.
Judgmental and blamers.
Well, that's what judgment
yes.
is.
Yeah.
Judgment is you're bad, I'm good.
Yes.
You're wrong, I'm right. Mm-hmm. And it's such a primitive way of dealing with the world, and yet we're still there. Yes. We're still there. Half our country, would like the other half to disappear.
Yes.
So
yes.
How advanced can we be? And we're supposedly, the most advanced.
Right. And we are not advanced.
No.
We hope that we are. But when we look at what's happening in this country or across the, outside, and how people are impacted, ordinary people who get up in the morning, grab their cup of coffee, they go to work, they take their kids to school. And believe it or not, all over the world is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
One is called British, one is called American, one is called French, one is called Egyptians, one is called, Ukrainian, one is called, whatever.
One is called black.
One is called
black.
One
is called white. One is called female.
Yeah.
One is called male. One is called Jewish. One is called Christian.
Right.
These are all aspects of our humanity.
Right.
But the bottom line is we're all human beings.
And we're all the same, and we all pretty much repeat the same dynamic every day, whether we accept that or not. We want our kids to go to school, we want to come home, we want to have our family together, we want to get married, we get divorced, we have funerals, we have birthdays. All over the world, this is the main essence. And, every family looks for the next birthday, they look for the next wedding, they look for the next New Year, they look for the next, holiday. But our differences and our ego doesn't allow to see that human part of us. We just see the black and the white.
The ego's main job is survival.
Right.
And so the ego then, in order to survive, looks at other people in terms of us and them.
Yes.
Us are the people that I feel safe with. Them are the people who are strangers and I don't know, mm-hmm. and therefore I can feel unsafe with, and therefore I can begin to demonize.
Right.
And while I know what's us, the people that I'm demonizing also know what's us, and I am them to them. Right?
So at this point, I think I'd like to invite you all to, pray for innocent people of Ukraine. They don't deserve what they have been receiving. They don't deserve to lose their family members. And I myself, I don't know what I can do to offer help. All I can do is just, pray for this to be over and not last for another minute.
Yeah. I would add to pray for the Russian soldiers
Yes.
who are acting from duty and also are putting their lives in jeopardy. And they are innocent as well because they're just doing what they think is right.
Yeah.
And
They are told to do that.
well, they're doing what they think is right.
Yeah.
But it's what happened to Gandhi. When Gandhi was assassinated and he was lying on the ground, he looked up and he said, "Please don't punish him. He was only doing what he thought was right."
Yes.
And on that note, we appreciate your listening. We'd love to hear from you. And I agree with Dr. Rashidian. Let's pray for everyone involved to be safe and for this to be over quickly.
And with that, all we need is love.
All we need is love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.